C.K. Smith Presbyterian Church played a vital role in the movement. It was one of the places that SCLC, the organization that my uncle Alphonso was a part of, they utilized for citizenship schools and meetings. And they also utilized the pastor, Adams, at that time, utilized the Boy Scouts because he was a member of the movement. This church gets very, very, very little recognition for its role in the movement. There are some books that feature its role in the movement, but whenever it's talked about, the attention usually goes to other churches. But there were several churches, several Black churches that were involved, and this church played a vital role because the first organization of the movement, the meeting was held here at C.K. Smith Presbyterian Church. My uncle Alphonso Harris, one of the older brothers of my dad, Elijah, Peter Rabbit Harris, Ruther Harris, Emory Harris, he really started out singing, kind of singing along with the Freedom Singers, doing the music, the songs of the movement. But he met Jose Williams, a vital member of one of the leaders of SCLC. And from that introduction, from that friendship that formed, he was inspired to join SCLC. So he stopped singing for a while to become one of their activists, to travel to different places to motivate nonviolent protests and to recruit, to see who are the people in these different areas that are speaking out, that had enough courage to speak out. And he also would go find out which churches, which Black churches during that time period would allow SCLC to use them as a part of their formation to do what they needed to do in that particular location. And his motivation was how they chose to fight. He was kind of a part of SNCC also, because the Freedom Singers, the music was organized through SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So he was kind of had his feet in both realms of those organizations, and both organizations were fighting for equality in all areas for people of color. So he because of that, he sort of like more of the pull toward SCLC because of his friendship that he garnered with Jose Williams, who was a major leader in that organization. And he just kind of took up the efforts and the skills that they use and the way they use their particular skills to go to places to organize. So he sort of had his feet in both realms. He was singing with the Freedom Singers, but then he laid his singing down. He laid that talent down to utilize his other talents to do the work for SCLC. So he was sent to Grenada to find out which churches would allow him to use them for citizenship schools to teach the people how to organize, how to protest, how to boycott. So he was sent there to get a group of young people together to participate in a walkout, in a nonviolent walkout, to bring the attention to the fact that the judges had ordered the schools to be integrated, but the people in charge of that particular city would not allow the order to be enforced. He came back home to Albany in December. He was in Grenada like in November, October. He was there for maybe about 2 months. And the Southern Poverty Law Center believes that his death might be associated with his activities in civil rights during that time period. The FBI investigated. They reopened a lot of cold case murders in 2007. To investigate to find out whether or not he was one of those 76 forgotten individuals who were killed during the time period of 1952 to 1969 because of racism. Some of them because of their role in the civil rights movement, and some of them just because they happened to be of a different color. The incident occurred because of an argument over a young lady. Some people reported that there was a particular young lady in this club, and a person in the military came into the club and was treating her in a manner that was abusive. One story is that my uncle stepped in to sort of stop that particular treatment. And from that, an altercation occurred where the individual had a gun. And in the struggle for the gun, it went off and my uncle was shot. The FBI, because of their investigation, they feel like because it happened in a nightclub and because the report said it was over an argument over the treatment of a particular female, it did not qualify as being racially motivated. But the Southern Poverty Law Center felt that it could have been inspired or could have been initiated. He might have been targeted because of his activities in Grenada, because it wasn't a local person that killed him. It was a person that was in the military. And even though it was a Black person that did it, the FBI ruled it out as being racist. But the Poverty Center felt like it still should be a part of the forgotten story because of his activist work in the movement with SCLC. The legacy that Alfonso left behind was to keep singing the songs and telling the story. He also left behind the legacy of SCLC to keep fighting. Jose Williams would create a mini newspaper called North and the South about the different summary of what was going on with SCLC in different areas of the United States, especially in the Southwest Southern area. He paid a particular memoriam to my uncle in that paper. And he talked about how he used his voice to sing, but also how he used his skills of non-singing to organize. And because of that, even in his statement in the memorial, he felt like because of his legacy, because of his fight, because he was willing to give up his life, because a lot of people were killed during that time period, that his legacy inspired all of them to keep going on. I was extremely excited to learn about the cold case study at Emory University. As a matter of fact, one of the instructors, one of the men that put it together, he came to the Civil Rights Museum during a time period when they used to have community night. And he introduced a book called The Race Beat, which tells the white journalists reflections of the movement during that particular time. And in that is when he introduced that they would be doing these cold case studies. And they chose Albany as one of the places to come here to talk about it and to feature the book and to get the word out about the classes because of the Albany movement's involvement and also because of my uncle, Alphonso Harris. So I really think that it's important for these cases to be studied. I think it's important for the story to be told because the whole story would never be, the whole story and the truth of it will never be told unless we talk about it, unless we get it in our universities and we teach about it. And we don't just, and the Cold Case Project is not to solve the murders, but the students are learning what motivated these killings to take place and why were these particular people willing to put their lives on the line for equality, for the right, for the Constitution to mean and to demonstrate what it actually says it should be, that all men are created free. So when I met Hank, and I'm not going to mess up his last name again, I was really excited to know that these stories are being taught at Emory University. And because of them, it's also, I think, inspiring the FBI to continue to investigate them, to see if even to this day some justice can be had for the family members that are left of those particular victims of those killings during that time period. Like I said, 76 people are listed on a memorial called The Forgotten, and it tells their story. And if we don't keep telling the stories will die, the stories will disappear, and there'll be certain individuals who will make sure that the stories disappear. And we should never allow that to happen. I just want to make sure that we continue to emphasize all of the places, especially C.K. Smith Presbyterian, this church, that played a role in helping us to gain equality.